All right, let's see. Okay. Okay, hopefully this thing is using the right microphone. Hopefully I sound pretty good. Okay. You guys let me know how I sound. Mic check. Hey, Michael. Hey, Brent. All right. So, all right. I think it's using my microphone. So let's test here. I'm going to turn my microphone off. Let me know if you guys can still hear what I'm about to say. Okay. Could you guys hear what I just said? Okay, good. All right. Hey, all right. We got like 12 people in here already. How's everybody going? Okay. So it is now 7:01. We've been live for just under 2 minutes, gathering some people. It's good, Michael. Maybe I'll show it later. I don't know. Yeah, okay. So this is not going to go well because everybody wants to talk about Wilson. And I don't. I really don't. So I understand nobody's going to be able to think about tight ends right now. I get that, but I think everybody kind of right now wants to talk about bigger things, which I do understand. But I'm just inclined to believe that this is just a bunch of off-season noise. It is very, very hard to. So I'll spend a few minutes here at the start just talking about the Wilson thing. But anyway, it's very hard to construct a good trade for Wilson because any Wilson trade involves us eating $40 million in dead cap this year, which would be fine if not for the fact that we don't have our first round pick next year. If we didn't have a first round pick next year, it would be great, but we don't. We don't have a first round pick, so we can't tank. Brent, that doesn't pass the smell test, Brent. Like, maybe that would be the case because we would have already paid him, in which case you have the same problem. But anyway, I don't think there's any trade you can construct that makes sense for us. Like, you really are talking like 5 first-round picks, I think. I really believe that. I think you're talking like 5 first-round picks and maybe something else. Chaotic, you're trolling, right? I also don't think it makes any sense to trade Wilson right after you hire the offensive coordinator that he liked. I also don't think it makes a lot of sense to trade Russell Wilson in an offseason like this where a lot of high-profile quarterbacks are available. We already saw Goff get moved. Stafford got moved. Wentz got moved. Watson still needs to get moved, so you're not going to get maximum value right now. So, yeah, I'm just not seeing it. Now, as for my personal thoughts on this, I really don't know how to feel, guys, which is why I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it today. Hold on. Water pump. All right. So, I don't really know how to feel. Like, on the one hand, if I was Wilson, I would probably want to dump. I would probably want to get away from Pete Carroll too. I would. Carroll's a moron and he doesn't know what he's doing on offense. If I were Wilson, I would probably want to get away from Carroll too. And I can understand why he's looking at this team and thinking this is not the place for me. But on the other hand, why, he is a player. He's not bigger than the coaches. He's not bigger than the front office. He doesn't get to decide what players we get. He doesn't get to decide what system we run. He's a player. He's a very high profile player. Maybe he should have some say in that. But for him to throw a fit because he's not getting everything he wants exactly the way he wants it is not good and is not fair on this team. He does not own this team. And, I can acknowledge that he's also being very annoying through all this. I can acknowledge that this is getting on my nerves. He says he wants more help, but then he takes the biggest contract he can possibly scoop up. And then is he willing to restructure it to allow us to actually go get these players that he wants? Hopefully. I think he will, but we haven't seen him do it yet. We hear him talk about how he wants this, that, and the other thing, but I don't see him doing anything to make it easier for us. So, yeah, I'm really conflicted, guys. So I'm going to kind of push the Russell Wilson thing back. What I'm going to try to do is make a video about it tomorrow. And I'll try to talk about what I settle on because I still don't know what I've settled on. And then maybe tomorrow night we'll do a stream discussing it. That's probably what I'm going to do because I don't want to shoot okay, if Wilson wants to get traded, then he should make sure to work with the team so we don't eat all this dead cap when he gets traded. So, look, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how seriously to take it. In fact, to be perfectly honest, as of this moment, I feel like this is probably more noise than fire, more smoke than fire, as they say. But, yeah, I'm just not going to really touch the Wilson's topic in this stream. So we're going to talk about tight ends today. And the Wilson thing needs time to digest. I want to see what comes out tomorrow. I want to see what people say tomorrow. I want to see how I feel tomorrow because I don't know how to feel yet. There's a lot going on here, and I see it both ways. Like, it is a total bitch move to say, I don't want to get traded, but here are the teams that I want you to trade me to. No, Jose, that's not going to be possible. I don't have the hardware for that right now. My videos look like shit right now because I don't have my setup. I'm trying to actually keep my videos to a minimum until I get my setup back. Because, yeah, on the one hand, that is definitely true. I can understand why Wilson would be irritated with some stuff, but he's part of the reason why he's part of the reason why we got Greg Olsen. He wanted Greg Olsen, and he was really excited when he brought him in, and then Greg Olsen sucks like I kind of knew he would, and like, now you want to put that on me? I generally try to avoid talking about rumor and hearsay on this channel. Like, I don't want to be clickbait. Like, today I could have made a video about Russell Wilson and it probably would have gotten 5,000 views by now. But I don't really want to do that. Oh, yeah, Brent. I mean, that's clearly the case. Can he get better at it? That's kind of the question that's really important here. All right. So, with that being said, I'm not going to address any more Wilson stuff for the time being. I don't really have a ton to say about it beyond what I just said in the first 10 minutes. I don't really know how to feel yet, and I want to see what gets said tomorrow. So what's going to happen is tomorrow I'm going to probably make a video about Wilson. I am probably going to do a stream in the evening about Wilson, and I'll have a much better idea of where I fall at that point. But today we're going to go look at tight ends. So let's start with the situation that we have right now. We know for a fact that we've lost one tight end. Our starting tight end from last year, Greg Olsen, is retired. There is no bringing Greg Olsen back. So Greg Olsen is out. We know that for a fact. Jacob Hollister, who was, the number 2/number 3 tight end last year, is a free agent, and I think he's going to come into at least a little bit of money. I'm talking $2.25–2.5 million for a 1-year deal. So there's a good chance we are going to be down 2 of our primary tight ends from last year, 2 of our tight ends who actually got playing time. So with that in mind, it is very possible we need to think about getting new tight ends this offseason. So first, let's take a minute to talk about what we have on the roster. And that list right now is very short. I'm not counting Luke Wilson because I'm assuming he's not going to be back. And even if he is back, it doesn't matter because he can't really do anything. But the starter right now is Will Dissly, and the backup behind him is Colby Parkinson. Now, Will Dissly looked like a number 1 tight end at the start of the 2018 and 2019 seasons. He did, but that was a grand total of like 10 games, and he got hurt both times. Last year, he played a full season, and he looked like a number 2. He looked like a backup tight end who can block really well and catch the occasional pass. Either the first 2 seasons were fluky or the injuries just took it away from him. So it's not impossible to imagine he could still be a starter, but I'm not super excited about that possibility anymore. Colby Parkinson, I think I like him well enough. He seems interesting to me, but I'm not really excited about that. So, or at least I'm not willing to bet anything on it. So that's the 1-2 right now. So show of hands in the chat. Let's get started here. Will Dissly starting number 1 tight end going into week 1? Yay or nay? How do you feel about Will Dissly being the number 1 tight end for the Seahawks going into week 1 of 2021? All right, we're seeing some no's, and we are seeing a couple yays. Okay, so it's a nice mix. Mostly nays, but we do have some yays. I like Will Dissly, but what I saw from him last year told me there's a very good chance that he might not be the number 1 tight end that I thought he was going to be his first 2 seasons. Well, obviously, Sam. Okay. So with that being in mind, it looks like a lot of people are probably intrigued in bringing in a new tight end who's better than Dissly to start, and Dissly can be the number 2, and maybe Parkinson can be the number 3 at that point. Okay, so in the video that I uploaded earlier today, which hopefully you guys watched, I went over 4 free agents who I would be interested in bringing in potentially. There were some others who would be good too, and we will talk about those. But regardless, let's just talk about addressing our issues through free agency. So the first guy I looked at was Jared Cook, and Jared Cook would basically be Greg Olsen 2.0. You get Jared Cook for 1 year, probably a similar deal, maybe like $6 million, $5 million, but not less than that, I don't think. And you say, give us 1 good year and then go retire. And that's basically what you got. So if you get Jared Cook, he's your kick the can down the road option. He's like, okay, just give us 1 good year and then get the hell out of here. Hopefully you work out better than Olsen. So Jared Cook, if we brought him in on a 1-year deal worth somewhere between $5 to $6 million, and we basically just said, let's try to do the Greg Olsen thing again with a different player, how would you guys feel about that? I would not be very excited about this. I wasn't that impressed with what Jared Cook did last year, although his numbers generally were quite good. So I would probably not like to sign Jared Cook, but I don't hate it. Again, it's basically just Greg Olsen, run it back. But Jared Cook would be adequate, I guess. I wouldn't be excited or happy about it, but I wouldn't be mad. I would be down with that, but I would be somewhat down with that, I guess you could say. So that is your option if you just want a guy who will hold down the fort for a year, and then you don't have to think about him anymore. He, like I said, he's Greg Olsen 2.0. Okay, so the next guy I looked at, and this guy is the break the bank option. This is the guy you bring in if you want to say to Russell Wilson, hey, we're sorry about everything. We're going to give you a big-time number 1 tight end, and that is Jonnu Smith. And a lot of people have been talking about Jonnu Smith, obviously. A lot of people have been eager to bring him into Seattle, and I think that a lot of people are going to get very excited about the possibility of this. He was a good tight end in Tennessee for the last couple of years. He probably is capable of doing even better than Jonnu Smith than he was in Tennessee. But there is some element there of paying for his potential, because his production so far has not been amazing. It's been quite good. He's, I don't think, broken 500 yards in any one season yet. You are paying for his talent, but bringing him in is not the worst idea. Now, if you want to bring in Jonnu Smith, you're going to have to pay some serious dollars. Spotrac thinks he's going to get 5 years, $40 million. I say he's going to get 4 years, $30 million, because the cap is going down. So 4 years, $30 million is still a big investment. So if you want Jonnu Smith, you're probably going to have to let somebody go that you like. You're going to have to make a sacrifice somewhere. So personally, if we got if we got Jonnu Smith, I wouldn't be upset about it, but he's good. I would at least be able to admit, hey, we got a very good tight end for Wilson. I feel like there's a better option here, but Jonnu doesn't quite do it for me. He just hasn't been quite productive enough in Tennessee. I feel like you're paying for talent if you give him 30 to 40 million bucks. But a lot of people in the chat like Jonnu Smith. A couple people didn't. A few people didn't. I personally am not crazy enthusiastic about him, but he is good. He's clearly good, and I can acknowledge that. Yeah, Ghost is correct. Don't worry about the cap. Don't worry about the cap situation, guys. Don't worry about the cap. It will be taken care of. Or if it's not taken care of, then I have choice words for John Schneider because he doesn't know how to do his job. Okay, the next free agent tight end that I liked, and this is another guy a lot of Seahawks fans have been talking about, is Gerald Everett. And Gerald Everett has familiarity with Shane Waldron. He was good for the Rams. One thing that's interesting about Gerald Everett is that he's maybe the most prolific tight end in the league at lining up as an outside receiver. So if you acquire Gerald Everett, not only are you getting a good tight end, you're also getting somebody who's good at lining up as outside wide receiver. He was very productive. Now, this is what I like. I like Gerald Everett a lot. I think he fits in well. I think Shane Waldron would be able to figure out how to use him. And it seems like a lot of people in the chat are as well. And as for Everett's contract, it's hard to be sure because, these things we're just guessing. But if I had to look at Gerald Everett and estimate a contract for him this offseason, I would say 3 years, $18 million. So $6 million a year for 3 years. It's a lot cheaper than Jonnu Smith. It's a lot more manageable than Jonnu Smith. It's a scenario where he might be expiring at the same time Wilson's expiring, and that works out pretty well. That way we're not married to some expensive tight end in a year when we don't have a quarterback, because with Jonnu that can happen. So yeah, 3 years, $18 million. I like that a lot, and I would take Gerald Everett on the 3 years, $18 million. He might be a little more expensive, but it's really hard to know right now. But I like the Gerald Everett idea. Okay, so the last guy who caught my eye, and this guy is sort of we don't want to spend a lot of money, but we want to get somebody who still has some potential and is kind of young. You know, we want to kind of straddle the line between making a big investment and conserving resources for the other parts of our team. And that is Mo Alley Cox. Mo Alley Cox is was undrafted. He played for the Colts for a few years. In the most recent season, I think he had almost 400 receiving yards. He has, in 2020, he had almost 400 receiving yards playing with Phillip Rivers in Indianapolis. Only played 15 games. He probably would have had his 400 if he did not get hurt and miss one game. So this is kind of a guy with a little bit of upside and would not be expensive and is reasonably young, but it's not exactly something you're pumping your fist about. You can see the potential. You can see where he could be nice. But realistically, you know, a guy like Mo Alley Cox might get like 2 years, $10 million, 2 years, $9 million, something like that. So, yeah, that's kind of the option where you want to get somebody with upside, but you don't want to break the bank. That's really all that caught my eye. Those are the different guys we could get depending on what gap we want to fill. Now, there are other free agent tight ends, and they're worthy of discussion. I'll start listing off some big names, and then I'll list off a couple of stragglers who are worth discussing. Evan Engram sucks. So you have Hunter Henry, who I think is going to be too expensive. I think Hunter Henry is going to be a 8-figure contract guy, 8-figure a year guy. I feel like Hunter Henry's just a little out of reach, and I don't feel like he's better than Jonnu Smith by enough to justify the extra money he's probably going to cost. There's Rob Gronkowski, but I don't know. No, I'm just not feeling it. There's Tyler Kroft, which he didn't really do anything last year. Tyler Eifert is actually a little interesting as a 1-year stopgap, but I'm not crazy about it either. Let's see here. Who else? Jordan Reed, if you want to take a chance on somebody who gets hurt all the time. Trey Burton, if you want to take a flyer on a dude who has been good in the past and has just been falling on hard times lately. Let's see here. I think Dan Arnold, yes, Robert Tonyan Jr. and Dan Arnold are both free agents, and they are both guys who were pretty productive last year for their teams, but there's just something about them that makes me not super excited about getting them. But they're both good players, clearly. And in a market like this, they might come really cheap. You don't know. Like Robert Tonyan, there might not be a market for him. Dan Arnold, Arizona has a couple of other tight ends that they like Max Williams and Darrell Daniels, I think. So they might let Dan Arnold go, and that would be a quality option. Watching Dan Arnold play, he kind of makes me think of Disley, so I kind of feel like that would be a little redundant. I don't know, though. That's just me looking at a keyhole, though. I don't watch every Arizona game. I don't watch every snap that Dan Arnold takes, but that's not a bad sleeper option. I'll say that. And Tonyan would not be bad either as a sleeper option if he makes it to free agency. Bow hello. You click the join button down below the video, and then you go through the process of becoming a member. All right, so that's all I can say about the free agency class at tight end. It's pretty good, and there's some good stuff out there. You can find good stuff at the tight end position in free agency this year, no matter what you're looking for. If you're looking for a superstar, if you're looking for an old aging veteran looking for one last payday, if you're looking for some young guy with potential, it's out there. So yeah, we're going to get to the draft shortly, but in the comments, is there anybody who I didn't discuss who you like? Chaotic, we talked about Mo Alley Cox a bunch a minute ago. Just looking at the list of remaining tight ends, Virgil Green, Michael Pruitt, Mercedes Lewis, who is somehow still in the NFL. Ghost, that video is coming. Blake Bell, if for the meme, he is good on trick plays. Let's see here. Richard Rodgers. I forgot he's still in the NFL. Jake Butt. You can sign him for the meme. And that's really all I see. There's nobody else in the free agency list that really catches my eye. Most of the guys there would probably not be any better than Will Dissly. However, one thing that I do, Ertz from a trade, right? Well, Costa Rican, we don't exactly have a lot of stuff to trade with, do we? So I'm not feeling it. Hey, Austin. Oh, yeah, Brandon, he did do that. I don't feel like we can get Ertz in a trade. I'm not feeling that one, Why give up assets? At this point, Jonnu Smith is probably as good as Ertz. So why not just give a contract to Jonnu Smith instead of giving up picks and a contract to Ertz? So I think that's all I can say about free agency, and it seems like everything that anyone wants to address about tight ends, hey, Daniel, has already been expressed in the chat. So now that we've gone over the free agent options, let's turn to the draft. So let's say, oh, yeah, Steven Sullivan. I forgot about him. I know, Chaotic, but he would have fixed his hands by now if that was what it was. He was in a contract year last year, right? Or I guess he's going to be in a contract year this year, but how's he going to suddenly fix his hands? Usually that doesn't happen. It happened for Nelson Aguilar, I guess. Okay, so I looked at the draft, and first of all, the first thing I did was I kind of skipped over anybody who goes in the first 3 rounds because I don't think we should be using our second-round pick on a tight end. However, it's not completely out of the question. It's not ridiculous. So if we want to spend our second-round pick on tight end, the only 2 guys who make sense would be Pat Freiermuth and Brevin Jordan. So knowing that it will cost our second-round pick and maybe a little bit more, does anybody like one of those 2 guys enough to say, you know what, screw the offensive line, screw receiver, screw the defense, screw everything else that's probably a bigger need than tight end? Give me Pat Freiermuth from Penn State or give me Brevin Jordan from Miami. I don't know a ton about either player personally. Brevin Jordan, from what I've seen, is intriguing to me. I like tight ends like that from the little I've seen, but I would not spend a second-round pick on either guy. It just doesn't really do it for me. Yes, Hasher. We'll discuss that later. All right. Now, the thing is, Brevin Jordan is going to have to fall to get to our second-round pick. So if he falls to us, he may very well be the best player available. So we have to consider that, but I still kind of don't like it. So the three guys in the draft, and I discussed this a little bit in my video, who caught my eye as players who make sense and can be drafted with a reasonable pick are Hunter Long from Boston College. He was very productive for Boston College as a tight end. Trey McKinney from Georgia, similarly productive and athletic. And then finally, Kenny Yeboah from Ole Miss. And again, I am not a scout. I don't spend a ton of time looking at the tape of these players. I don't study these players obsessively. I don't do none of that. But I do do a little bit of work into this stuff. And yeah, those three guys caught my eye with some of the stuff they showed in college. So if anybody has any thoughts about those three guys, again, I say Hunter Long from Boston College, Trey McKinney from Georgia, and Kenny Yeboah from Ole Miss. Beanie, the Giants will probably give him away if you really want him, but he's a guy with a lot of talent who can't do shit with it. All right, so that kind of concludes everything that I did in looking up this video. Michael, thank you for the $5. Thanks for your hard work, B. How about throwing the man some coin for bringing us Hawks content? Yes, I agree with Michael, guys. Give me all your money. You have no idea how much money I'm spending on my new computer. Kenny looks nice. Okay. Give me lots of monies, please. Do you think David Njoku is a potential move? He's still under contract, right? He would need to be a trade. And he gets hurt a lot, I think. I could be thinking of somebody else. So anyway, Kenny Yeboah. Let's take a second here. He's a movable F tight end that can provide value in both phases. With strong hands and a well-seasoned route tree, he does most of his damage over the middle, but has the potential to be much more. So he's a developmental tight end. So you don't necessarily want to draft him and assume he's going to be your number one tight end immediately. I can't super chat. That's fine, Costa Rican. No, T-Man, that's fine. Oh, yeah, O.J. Howard's another one. He's a guy I always forget about. Kyle brings up O.J. Howard, who I guess is in the final year of his deal. Yeah, I mean, Michael, that might not be a bad thing. Wilson's greatest asset in general is his deep ball. So you still want to build around that, even if you're going to change the offense a little bit. Yeah, Trey McKinney projects as a move tight end. He has good athleticism and good agility, and he's a capable blocker as well. And he belongs well in any passing offense, which I think is very exciting to me. Hunter Long, I think, had like 700 receiving yards last year for Boston College. I think he led the nation. Cameron Brate, is he a free agent? Michael, I think it's like 56 or something. 56 sounds right. All right, so that kind of covers everything that I can talk about in regards to tight ends. So I'm going to take a moment to thank the 30 people we currently have in stream. Thank you for coming out. Please like the stream if you haven't yet. Consider becoming a member. Subscribe to the channel if you want new Hawks content on a now, every other day basis, sometimes every day. And yeah, that's about it. Okay. Yeah, Chaotic. It sounds like Kenny Yeboah might be that dude. Tyler Mabry? Yeah, Michael. I wouldn't expect anything from him, really, but he is on the roster. So, with that being said, I'm going to let people discuss tight ends a little bit for a couple more minutes. Scarecrow Bar, thank you for the $5. I'm going to get that RTX 3082, baby, but still email me your spec sheet. Yeah, Scarecrow Bar. I will definitely do that. I almost got a 3080 this morning, but Best Buy dropped a bunch, and they sold out in, I think, less than a minute. Now, they screw around with you by making you, sit on the load screen for like 10 minutes, making you think, oh, they're about to get more, and then you're going to be able to get one. But in my experience this morning, they don't ever get more. It's just after 10 minutes, they just say out of stock again. So yeah, I did almost get the 3080, but I'm going to keep trying. And I did pre-order one, but it's going to be a while before the order gets filled. So in the meantime, I'm still trying to get it another way. Hey, Aaron, welcome to the stream. Hey, Chrissy, welcome to the stream. What position does Jalen Mayfield play? Is he a tackle or an interior lineman? Tackle. Okay, I missed him yesterday when I was talking about tackles, or the other day. You can't become a member because of location. That is weird. Costa Rica isn't even like, it's not Yemen. It's not freaking, it's not the Gaza Strip. I don't understand why, that is weird. But that's fine, Costa Rican. If you can't do it, you can't do it. I understand. Kyle, I think you could maybe do a little less for that. What has OJ Howard done to prove he's anything in the NFL so far? Has he done anything? We know he's talented. Well, yeah, Aaron, I do. I think we absolutely should, because you got to remember, we're still going to have Will Dissly, and Will Dissly's still a good blocker. The reason why this is an issue is because Will Dissly is no longer looking like a top pass catching tight end. He's looking like a number 2 tight end who's a good blocker. So we need a number 1 in all likelihood. All right. So that's all the tight end stuff I can say. I'm going to say this. If it were up to me, part of my big offseason plan would be bring in Gerald Everett, 3 years, $18 million, reasonably priced. You can probably easily get out from under that contract after 2 years. You get yourself a good tight end, and you get yourself a capable outside receiver too, which is great, because if you get rid of somebody like Lockett, you might need somebody to play out there more. And Colby Parkinson can do that too. The only argument I could see against bringing in Gerald Everett personally would be Colby Parkinson can do the Gerald Everett stuff pretty well, but we also don't know if Colby Parkinson is going to be any good. So I don't think that's a very good argument. So yeah, I would bring in Gerald Everett, 3 years, $18 million, and then call it good. I would not draft a tight end. I would not sign any other tight ends. I would not keep Hollister. I would not keep Luke Wilson. I would not do any of that. Tyler Mabry, either way, I don't care. But that's my take on tight end this offseason, guys. Just give me Gerald Everett. And with that, I think I've said all I can say. I think the chat has said everything that they can say. There are a lot of people who like Everett. A lot of people like Jonnu Smith. Some people like OJ Howard. Some people like Brevin Jordan. A lot of people liked some of the guys you could get in the 4th or 5th round. Charlie Kolar from Iowa State. Let's take a look here. I don't see him listed. Yeah, I don't see him listed on the Draft Network. So, with that being the case, I know everyone wants to talk about Wilson stuff, so I will allow people to talk about Wilson stuff for the next 20 minutes before the stream ends if they want to. Rip, welcome to the stream, buddy. If you want to talk about tight end stuff, that's cool too. I'll be addressing all comments about that. But if you guys want to talk about Wilson, we can do that. Chrissy, it's going to be center. However, I want to remind you guys that tomorrow I do plan on making a Wilson video. And I will probably live stream in the evening to discuss Wilson because, again, I am bored out of my mind and I have nothing to do. But yeah, all right. So Pete has got to go. I would much prefer dumping Pete to dumping Wilson. It seems like such a bad idea to get rid of your franchise QB still at a reasonable age when you could just move on from your ancient head coach. Oh, by the way, Rip, your membership lapsed again. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it just slipped. I want Carr and 3 first-rounders. I don't even know if Carr is an asset. His contract is huge, and he's not that great. A Costa Rican, he could absolutely get canned. It's just the person who could can him is Jody Allen, and she's not going to do that. No Ghost, I missed that. Jamal Adams is a phenomenal player, Michael, but we probably shouldn't have traded for him because he didn't make our defense elite. Kay Ruiz, we would owe him a lot of money, but it's not my money. I don't give an F. Second pick, 23rd pick, Darnold, Quinn Williams, 2013 first. I feel like we could do better than that, Kyle. That's basically 3 first-round picks, QB who probably sucks, and Quinn Williams. I don't know. Give me a little bit more. Yeah, maybe, Rip. Honestly, there's a very good argument to make for that, but you don't need first-round picks to get good players. You just need to draft well and scout well and sign free agents well. Ghost, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I've never hated anything more in my life than what you just suggested. I know, Costa Rican. It's so sad. Yeah, Chrissy, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I understand Wilson's mad because the team hasn't done a great job building around him and some of the stuff that's been happening with the way the team is run versus the way Wilson wants it. I understand it, all that. I understand the front office hasn't drafted great. I understand we've made mistakes in free agency. I understand we've blown away cap. I understand that, there's some crap that's been happening with this team, but why is Wilson acting like such a bitch? I don't get it. Like, I'm sorry, but saying to your team that I don't want to get traded, but here's a list of teams I want to get traded to is bull crap. That's bull's crap right there. That is terrible. Him acting like everything needs to be exactly the way he wants it to be is getting annoying because Wilson has been, at least, and still realistically is, an amazing player. And he should have some power in the organization. But if he thinks that all means that he should get everything he wants from the team at all times, then that's a problem because he's a player. Players play. Rip, I don't have a problem with him making a ton of money. I don't have a problem with him taking a bunch of money. That's fine. But I don't want him taking a ton of money and then saying, I want a better team around me. You're part of the issue there, buddy. That's like, I remember Jermaine O'Neal pulling that crap in Indiana. He got a max deal and was like, I don't want to carry this team every night. Bullshit. You dictate the team that is around you to a certain degree by taking the max deal. And you want to take the max deal, that's fine. But if you're going to take the max deal, you better be ready to carry the team night in, night out. That's how I feel about Wilson. I don't want him to take a pay cut. Now, if he wants to move a little bit of money around to make things a little easier for us this year, okay, fine. But if he's going to take that much money, I want him to shut up and keep looking forward and just worry about himself. And I also don't like, and again, I just don't like him acting as if I don't like him acting as if none of this is his fault. I don't like him acting as if the team needs to give him everything that he wants. Like, he's a player. He is still a player. And even if Pete sucks at his job, which he to a certain extent does, and even if John sucks at his job, which to a certain extent is true, that doesn't mean you get to tell them you can expect everything. That doesn't mean you're going to get everything you want at all times. So I don't know. I'm really having a hard time deciphering how I feel about this. There is something, I mean, you can say it's too little too late, but we did hire an offensive coordinator that he wanted. It's like the Antonio Brown thing, which it seems to me that a lot of this stuff stems from the Antonio Brown thing, which, just to refresh you guys, Wilson really wanted to get Antonio Brown. The team said, okay, we're going to go try to get him. The team didn't go try to get him because they think AB sucks or is an idiot or they don't want to deal with him. And AB goes to another team and Wilson gets all pissed, which, I mean, on the one hand, I can understand why Wilson is like, hey, this is an opportunity to go get an amazing player for not that much money. And this is an opportunity to make our team a lot better in the middle of the season. We usually don't get chances like that. Let's go do it. I can understand why he'd be looking at that and being like, hey, front office, help me out here. But at the same time, like, you're not going to get everything you want all the time as a player. And if that is enough to make you want to get out of here, then maybe you are the problem. So there's just so much going on with this Wilson thing right now. And I don't know how to feel. Like, I was of the stance that the Wilson stuff was all just people trying to get clicks in the off season. And to a certain extent, I still believe that's true. But the thing is, today, Wilson's camp admitted that they gave the Seahawks a list of teams he wants to get traded to. And you don't do that unless you are pretty interested in leaving. You don't do that unless you're like, okay, I'm thinking about leaving. Why would you do that? And again, it's just a bitch move. It's like, yeah, I don't want to get traded. But here's a list of teams I want to get traded to. That's nonsense. But that being said, it would not surprise me at all if in a couple of weeks, Wilson takes a restructured contract to push some signing bonus down the line and everything's fine. And we bring in guys like Brandon Scherf or Jonnu Smith and everything's good. It would not surprise me. I will be right back. Give me a moment. I'm back. Ghost, I wish, but there's no way that Houston's going to go for that. I blame more Pete than John. Yeah, Well, Ben Klee, Jerry Jones probably would give a player like Wilson everything he wants. He probably would. He would probably maybe he would probably push that too far, but it's very clear to me that part of the issue, and I'm not saying this is anyone's fault, is that Pete is like, you're a player, I'm a coach, I coach, you play. That's how this works. Again, I never had a problem with Wilson taking the big contract until he started to play bad. I never had a problem with Wilson taking all that money. That's his right as a player who has accomplished a lot in the NFL. But when you take all that money and then you start complaining about stuff that is a side effect of you taking all that money, then I start to have a bit of an issue. Mikel, the most needed position on this team, it has to be left guard because we don't really have one. Yeah, like it is so important that we bring in at least one. Yeah, I mean, Brent, I wouldn't care about the midseason stuff if it didn't affect his play on the field. And I don't know if it is. I don't know if the midseason distractions are making him play bad, but it's very annoying watching him play bad and then doing the midseason distraction crap. But, like I said, it is so important that the Seahawks find a way to bring in at least one big name this offseason to make Wilson feel like we're taking this seriously. But it really just feels like Pete and John are just going to do what they feel is right no matter what in a vacuum and be like, if Wilson doesn't like it, then, he can retire and go become a head coach of his own team and then he can make his decisions. But yeah. Rogers, Lindsley is probably more likely. I would prefer Thuney, but either would be great. Hey, JR. It's hard to know, JR, man. Hard to know. All right, stream's going to go for another 7 minutes, and then I'm going to get out of here. Probably going to stream tomorrow to talk about the Wilson stuff a little bit more. But tonight, I'm going to go ahead and call it good here. Like I said, this was mostly a tight end video. I have to talk about the Wilson stuff a little bit because everybody wants to. But yeah. I mean, T-Man, he stormed out of the meeting because the team wasn't doing the things that he wanted to do. And I just don't know how to feel about that. Like, okay, Wilson does. I mean, Carroll doesn't know what the hell he's doing on offense. Wilson probably would have better ideas about offense than Carroll. And clearly Carroll needs to change. But on the other hand, Wilson's not the coach. He doesn't get to decide what the team does in that regard. He has to do what the coaches tell him to do. Every player in the league does. So, I don't know. I don't know. Like, Look at the stuff that happened this year with Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. Like, Tom Brady probably wanted stuff done in a certain way. And you know, Bruce Arians, his attitude was basically like, well, eat shit. You're my player. I'm the coach. I get to decide what to do. I don't care who you are. But I do think Pete probably needs to retire. I think the game has passed Pete by. So it's tough. And I don't have a great way to feel about it right now. Hey, Jackson. All right. 5 minutes left in this stream, and I'm going to get out of here. If any of you want to throw money at me in these last 4.5 minutes, it'd be deeply appreciated. You have no idea how expensive 3080s are. Forget trying to get one. Scraping up the money for them is not fun. Like, seriously, guys, trying to hunt down a 3080 is a full-time job. Holy shit. Ryguy, thank you for the $5. Seahawks fans are just like Blazers fans. Except the Seahawks did win a Super Bowl, so they have that in their back pocket. Brent McKinney, thank you for the $10. Appreciate it, man. T-Man, it varies way too much for me to say. Like, some days I've made like 40 cents. Other days I've made over $100. There's no way I can say an average because it varies way too much. Yeah, Austin. Hey, Green Earth. Yeah. So Green Earth, basically, we were talking about tight ends in this stream. We were talking about what we can do at tight end. But because of all the stuff that happened today, everyone wanted to talk about Wilson. So we are talking about Wilson. Brent, it's a graphics card. It's a graphics card for a computer. They are very hard to get. Right, guy, thank you for the $2. They're owned by the same guy. Well, they were. Or now they're owned by the same girl, right? Austin, it happened like 3 months ago, right before the Cardinals game where we beat them. It was after the first Rams game, before the second Cardinals game. Yeah, Chrissy, I do. I think you should run play action like 90% of the time, honestly. Robert Henry, thank you for the $15. Yes, we need to make Russ happy, fire Pete, fix the line, but who replaces Pete? I don't know. Promote Pete Carroll's son. I don't know. But I think realistically we need to find a way to fix this that doesn't involve firing Carroll or trading Wilson. I think both are hard. Both are just really, really hard. But to me, Russ and Pete are stuck together for one more year. I think it's just really hard to make that trade happen. I will talk more about this tomorrow, though. Hopefully something happens tomorrow to give us a little more buzz. And either way, I'm going to try to make a video tomorrow to process exactly how I feel about this whole situation. Because right now, even I don't know. I'm trying, but I don't know. I can see it both ways, and I'm mad at a lot of different people. All right, guys. So the stream's going to go down in a little bit here. I'll extend the stream by a couple minutes because I got some nice fat donations right at the end. You guys deserve a little bit more content. Austin, I think that's possible, but I like a couple other things better. So as for the Wilson thing, look, I'll try to figure out a coherent approach to a video tomorrow. But I'm just irritated with a lot of different people right now. And every time I try to piece together how I feel about all this, I end up going in circles. I really do. I don't know who to get mad at. I don't know who to put all this on. Maybe you can't. All right, guys. So to go back to the overall point I was trying to make with this stream, tight ends. What I would do this offseason is bring in Gerald Everett on a 3-year, $18 million deal. 3 years, $18 million. Probably easy to cut after 2 years, whatever. About what, Brandon? Yeah, so Gerald Everett, and then nothing else. I wouldn't bring in anybody else. I wouldn't draft anybody. Give me Everett, Disley, and Parkinson going into 2021. Yeah, Ben Klee, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. And as for the Wilson stuff, I don't think that Wilson will get traded this offseason. I don't think Carroll will get fired this offseason. But I will admit that the possibility of it happening has well, it's gone through the roof, boys. It has. All right. I'm going to get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. I'm going to make a video tomorrow trying to talk through this Wilson stuff. We might do another stream tomorrow just to talk about the Wilson stuff, but I don't know how to feel. I really don't. And I can't believe we're in this position right now where I'm actually thinking about siding with Carroll over Wilson. That being said, guys, don't be surprised if we go into 2021 with Wilson starting at QB, just like a lot of people might predict. But at this point, I think it's at least possible. And I will grant you that it's now worth talking about. All right. Thank you for coming out tonight. Peace out. Go Hawks. Like I said, content tomorrow. And weird time to be a Seahawks fan. It's a bumpy off season. And I'll try to guide you through it the best I can. See y'all later.